Thank you, Marianne, for that. And we're going to try Benny again. Benny, are you able to unmute now? Let's see if we can make this work. Are you there?
Third time's a charm.
All right. Hi, Benny.
Thank you so much. Marianne, what was the most uplifting or surprising thing you learned running for president? And also, for those of us still struggling to get to veganism, can you tell us about your path and or roadblocks or obstacles in you possibly returning there?
Well, actually, I already told the story about my efforts and the roadblocks, so I feel I've already answered that question. In terms of the political, I would say running for president was equal parts exhilarating and brutal. The political media industrial complex is brutal. They heard me talk about things such as the things we've talked about here, and they decided to do whatever it would take to get me out of the conversation. You couldn't open up a computer that somebody wasn't calling me dangerous and wacko and crazy. And I mean, it was quite something, and I'm sure all of you saw it. So they decide what they want the conversation to be, and they have decided who they think should be part of that conversation, and they do what it takes to get rid of anybody that they don't want to be in the conversation. And it's only an awakening enough of the people to send money to those candidates, to support those candidates, that will enable us to override that. What I found that was exhilarating was talking to voters, which was beyond exhilarating, particularly touching in the primary states, because the voters of Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina are very aware that their votes will make a big difference, not only in this country, but in certain ways in the world. I found the voters intelligent, decent, dignified, and what was sad to me was they were clearly more than able to handle this if the DNC had just kept their fingers off the scale. We've seen this in the last two presidential elections. George Washington warned us in his farewell address. He warned us about political parties. He said that they could become filled with factions of men, he said, who cared more about their party than about their country. And in the history of the United States, third-party voices have been extremely important. The abolition came from the Abolitionist Party. Women's suffrage came from the Women's Party. Social Security, for that matter, came from the Socialist Party. So this two-party duopoly is obstructive to our democratic process. It does more to thwart than to support the full release of democracy and the notion that our founders had of a group conscience, where the way the founders saw it, and I agree with this fundamentally, this is radical, it is so profound. They said, if you have a free press, if you have free public education, so people have educated critical thought, if you have free speech so they can talk, if you have freedom of assembly, then they won't always come up with the right answer, but more often than not, that it's the only thing to look to as the governing principle. Now, that's different than the governing principle of short-term profits for huge corporations that are able to have undue influence on our government. And that is the choice Americans are making today. And you're going to just let the corporations handle it? Good, because don't expect everybody to have health care. Don't expect agriculture to be healthy. Don't expect all your food to be healthy. Don't expect your water to be healthy. Don't expect your streets to be healthy. Don't expect educational opportunity to be universal. Don't expect enough people to have a shot at a vibrant economy. And don't expect the world to be anything close to peaceful.
Thank you for that. And with that, Deb is back with a quick question. Deb, if you can go ahead and unmute.
Well, you just about covered it right there. I'm sorry. I just wanted to add one more thing with the media. And someone mentioned it, not your talk being here, not a part of health, which I strongly disagree. The media and the doctors' hands are tied, and we're not getting the true information for our health. And I'm just wondering if the monopolies of the media being owned by corporations rather than it used to be back in the day of Walter Cronkite and that sort of thing. Why there isn't more of a curb in the monopolies that are going on out there and keeping the media's hands tied.
For exactly the
Well,
reason we said.
They aren't tied.
Yeah, well, exactly the reason we said in 1996 under Bill Clinton, that was called the Telecommunications Act. When I was a child, the same company was not allowed to own the television station and the radio station and the newspaper in a city. It was because we worked to guarantee diversification of information and ideas. With the Telecommunications Act in 1996, what began to happen in telecommunications is the same that's true in agriculture, the same that's true in chemical, same true of food. A few companies who own everything and have this monopolistic influence. So I'll give you an example. When I was young, a reporter would write a story about the factory downriver that was spewing chemicals that were poisoning the river. And this article might be so important that it won that reporter a Pulitzer Prize. Today, there's a very good chance that story, that reporter would be told by the editor, kill it, don't write that story, or even fired for trying to. Why? Because it's a good chance that the same company that owns the newspaper owns the factory. So this is why people talk about anti-monopoly. And this is why you want to read the news. This is why you want to keep up with what's going on. There's a book called Hate Inc. by a gentleman named Matt Taibbi, Taibbi, and it's great what he writes about that. He writes about how all that happened. Matt Taibbi is great. This is time to, Americans are very good with a to-do list. Just tell us what to do and we'll fix it. You could look at World War II and the Nazis and the Japanese Imperial Army like an operable tumor. And a former generation brilliantly performed invasive surgery and they removed the tumors. What we've got on our hands now is more like cancer that is metastasized, because it's an economic mindset that makes a corporate bottom line more important than us. And it's wrapped around some healthy organs because, take something like the opioid crisis. It's not like you don't want there to be pain pills. I mean, I had surgery last year and I got to tell you, I was in excruciating pain for 2 months. And I'm very grateful that there was OxyContin. On the other hand, there was an $8 billion settlement against Purdue Pharmacy because of predatory pharmaceutical executives who knowingly promulgated the lies about OxyContin that led to the deaths of 450,000 people. So it's not like you want to say you don't want big pharma to be able to operate. You just want there to be safety and health regulations. And that goes to vaccines, that goes to painkillers, that goes to antidepressants. Same with energy companies. When you look at something like, now with these fossil fuel companies, we must make a shift from a dirty economy to a clean economy. With our war economy, we have 54 cents of every dollar that is defense industry related. But we could transition from a war economy to a peace economy because the return on investment is greater in education and infrastructure. But ladies and gentlemen, I think the point here is these kinds of vibrant health, and it's just like we're talking about with the body. We need to have a health and wellness movement within the larger society. We're talking about the health and the wellness. A society is not healthy where 54% of your money has to do with building ways to kill people. A society is not healthy when its energy system is mainly concerned with things that destroy the earth. And once again, if we're going to have a new conversation and vibrant health in the society, it's going to be because of things like this and our talking about what a more healthy society would look like. What would healthy agriculture look like? What would healthy economy look like? What would peace building as opposed to just war building? We know in health, for instance, we know now, we don't just wait till we get sick and then allopathically seek through external remedy to eradicate or suppress symptoms. We want to proactively create health in order to prevent disease. It should be the same way with war and peace. We should proactively wage peace, proactively do the things like reduction of violence against women, expanded economic opportunities for women, expanded educational opportunities for children that actually statistically increase the chance of peace and decrease violence. Anyway, I think I've made the points. I think you get it. We have to become as excited about creating a healthy society as we're excited about creating healthy bodies. And I hope that some of what I said here today suggested at least how intimately related the two are.